Welcome to the Grow in Sahuarita podcast, where we talk about all things to growing your business in Sahuarita. Enjoy this episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Grow in Sahuarita podcast. This is Alex Magallanes, Economic Development Specialist for the Town of Sahuarita and the lead for the Grow in Sahuarita program. Today's episode is focused on something that every business owner struggles with at some point. And this is how to plan for the future, how to lead effectively and grow intentionally. And all this comes while trying to lead a business and the day-to-day demands of it. So our guest today brings a unique perspective. As a town manager, Shane works at a level where strategic planning, leadership, and long-term vision are definitely essential for the everyday movement of an entire organization. And so while this may sound that they're different from a small business, the truth is the principles still apply to any business and any business owner. So today we're going to explore how these principles translate into practical lessons for entrepreneurs here in Sahuarita. So Shane, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Alex. I was really excited to see this pop up on my calendar, the infamous podcast for Grow in Sahuarita, and it's an honor to be here. So thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for of your time. We're very definitely grateful, and we know for sure that you've been around for several years and working for local government, and so we definitely want to hear from your experience and your leadership. And I am a true believer that principles do apply, right? That's what they're called, principles. And so let's just dive in. So let's start at the core with today's conversation. From your perspective, what does strategic planning really mean? And how should a small business owner think about it in a practical way?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. When I saw the invite to participate, I was like, okay, I've spent my career in local government, and how does that really translate to the small business owner? Mm-hmm. I know corporate America has got this stuff figured out, but the small business owners might struggle from time to time. Yeah. And so I really appreciate the question. As I thought about that question, strategic planning really, in its simplest form in my mind, consists of knowing where you're at, knowing where you want to be, and plotting a course to get there. Yeah. And so that's really what strategic planning is. And we do this every few years as a corporation, the town of Sahuarita. Right. And we do it very intentionally because we've got a lot of good people in our organization. We're well over 200 employees at this point, and we all are doing what we feel is the right thing to do. Yeah. But without that focus that comes with a strategic plan, we're not as efficient as we can be as a team. And so that's really what the strategic planning process does.
So I have the privilege of being a part of some strategic planning sessions. As a matter of fact, when I started working here for the town, I came in at the back end of the economic development strategic plan, but I've been part of other ones. And one of the things that I'm a fan of is, we definitely need a plan. I think there's a saying that John Maxwell used to say, if you fail to plan, you're practically planning to fail.
That's right. You are planning to fail.
Yeah. And so, but one of the things I often see with small business owners, especially in doing strategic planning, is we all get excited, right? You're right to say, we need to think of this is where we are and where we want to go, and then kind of like pencil out how we're going to do that. And so, with that being said, what would be your advice for small business owners who we all have a vision, we all want to grow, we want to get there, but also let's be realistic? Does that make sense?
It does.
Let's, what's grounded on earth, something that it's feasible and something that it's like, probably that's a great plan, that's a great vision, but it's going to take longer to get there per se.
I think I want to say consistency.
Consistency.
Honestly. So when you have your plan, you want to make sure that your steps are very intentional. You're not flying by the seat of your pants, and that can be kind of hard probably for a small business, because a small business owner obviously has to play the manager role in dealing with the day-to-day, but they also have to play the leadership role in being able to see above the tree line, making sure that you're set in your course, because if you start at point A and you need to go to point Z, and you see the roadmap, but you're just a degree off. Think about a gate with a hinge.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 degree off course.
It's just
at the hinge. Yeah. It's just 1 degree. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But if you were at the equator and you wanted to fly around the world, and you're just 1 degree off from the start,
send you way off.
You're hundreds and hundreds of miles off course.
Yeah.
By the time you get to by the time you circumference the world, right?
Yeah.
So making sure that you can see above the tree line and see your where you're heading, your direction, your course is really important for a small business owner, a leader. And that can be really challenging in a small business, because you're wearing both caps. You're managing the day-to-day, but you also need to lead.
Yes. And so when it comes to planning, right? So you just said it, and that's a very good transition to the next question I have, which definitely love to get your input. You just mentioned, right, there's the day-to-day operations of leading a business.
Managing a business.
And managing a business, right?
Yeah.
And some of these have teams, and some of these are teams made out of family members. So what would be your advice to a small business owner that, right, it's managing the day-to-day, serving customers, obviously operations, sometimes putting out fires with a specific client, and still have a family. And so what would be your balance between thinking, today I'm here right now, I'm operating this business and managing, and then I need to start thinking long-term ahead? What would be your suggestion as far as, like, is it just finding time, or?
Yeah, I had an executive coach once help me see the value of carving time out to be intentional.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so it is tough. I mean, running a business, running an organization, regardless of the size of that organization, it's just hard. There's lots of challenges. Specifically, I can envision for a small business owner, just meeting the day-to-day needs, bringing home some kind of revenue income for your family, your personal needs.
Yeah,
it can be all-consuming.
Yeah,
and so this executive coach helped me see the value of being very intentional on your calendar to carve time out to think about the big picture. So on my calendar, I always carve out time. It's called office time for me. But office time is kind of this sacred time that I can allow things to infringe on, but my assistant doesn't touch it. I mean, that's my time, and it's my time to think about the big picture. And so whether it's 15 minutes a day, or it's 30 minutes at the end of the week or at the beginning of the week. Some people like it at the end, some people like it at the beginning. But just be very intentional about carving time out to think about the big picture.
Yeah.
To think about where you're at. Again, pull yourself out of the day-to-day so that you can see the tree line, you can see your course. Are you on course? What kind of changes do you need to make to if you're off course to get back on course? So be very intentional.
Yeah, that is so good. Yeah, that's very good. I mean, even if it's 15 minutes, right? You know, it makes me think of my children, you know, when they're learning piano, and the suggestion has always been like at least 15 minutes a day, do some scales on the piano. And then eventually you'll see that practice really, really reinforces that skill. And so that took me to a business plan. Some people, you know, we encourage, definitely in Grown Sahuarita, in the program we encourage, let's do a business plan. But how intentional we are to really like revisiting that business plan sometimes and saying, you know, are we staying on course, or do we deviate it? Do we deviate already? Where are we? And so that intentionality, I really like that. I love that.
I'll use another example.
Yeah.
Relationships in my life are really important. A relationship with my wife is paramount. I mean, it's just critical. So you'll see on my calendar, every Friday night, I've got a hot date with my sweetheart on my calendar. It's there. Sometimes we don't make it happen. Yeah. But it's there, and when we do when it does happen, it's because it's on the calendar. And so if you don't intentionally prioritize things like that in your schedule, life's just going to take it over.
Yeah.
I've got 10 departments. They all have day-to-day issues that need to be addressed. If I'm not very intentional about my calendar, it gets taken over.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to be very intentional. If you want to carve time out, if you want to have, protect time to see the big picture, to do course corrections, you've got to manage that and call that out in your calendar.
Yeah. Wow. That's very good. So that then makes me think that takes self leadership, right? So, in a sense of like leading yourself to be intentional about how you're managing not only the business, but your time and planning for the future. And so with that being said, what are some leadership principles, right? So it looks like you're already starting to speak into that. Some leadership principles that you rely on that small business can definitely apply when it's leading themselves, leading teams, even if it's just a few people or family members in managing a business. Where does leadership come in, and how?
Yeah, I think I have 4 points that I want to share in answer to your question. And I'm really not this bright, but so I appreciate the questions in advance so that I could prepare myself a little bit. But I have 4 points. One is a bit ad hoc because it just came to mind, but I want to share. There were 2 explorers in the early 1900s. This is the ad hoc one. 2 explorers in the early 1900s. They both represented 2 different countries in a race to stake their flags on the South Pole.
Oh, wow.
Okay. One explorer was the last name of Amundsen, and the other explorer was the last name of Scott. Both very experienced, both very well funded by their countries. They had well experienced teams. They had the material, everything they needed to be successful. They were starting at different places in the Arctic, but they tackled it about the same time, and it was really a race at that time to claim another uncharted section of the world.
Yeah.
One team made it. The other team died. And there's a big difference in the different approaches, and I think it comes to leadership. We talked about intention. Right. Leadership is being intentional. Okay, and you've got to understand your why. You've got to understand your course, where you're going to go, but you're very intentional about it. Scott's team died. All of them died, either by freezing to death or by hunger. Amundsen's team staked the flag and made it back out. And here's the 2 different approaches. Okay. When the weather was good, Scott's team was blaring. They tracked.
They moved.
60, 70, 80 miles.
Wow.
Okay, a day. I don't even know if that's possible. I think it is. But they were hauling, okay?
Yeah.
When it was bad, they hunkered down. Amundsen's team was, regardless of the day, good weather, bad weather, they did 20 miles.
Oh, I see.
20 miles a day. So you can see the intent.
Yeah.
You know, the very careful, strategic intention in how Amundsen's team advanced under Amundsen's leadership.
Yeah.
Versus Scott's team. The story is captured in a lot of different places. I learned about this story in a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Okay.
But he uses that leadership teaching to corporate America and how that intention really makes a difference. Being very calculated, don't overextend yourself, especially the small businesses, right? Be very, very calculated in your steps and be consistent and be very intentional. And I think that story carries a lot of value for us.
There's a lot of principles that I can think of right there. Again, going back to the strategic planning, right? We start envisioning, like, this is where we are right now, and this is where we want to go. And the excitement, right, naturally is going to come in, which is good, right? We need to have a vision for your business. Every small business owner needs to have a vision. And I've seen a lot of small business owners wanted to, like, take on the world. They wanted to take big bites. And so that goes to the story that you just gave. You know, like, sometimes you want to do 60 miles, but eventually it's probably not the best, right? Especially with circumstances, things come up, life happens, versus being those 20 miles.
Think about these businesses that we're trying to draw into our community.
Yeah.
Right? They're just not willy-nilly coming in. It's a sizable investment. They're being very practical. They're being very calculating about their decisions, whether to come in or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to work.
Yep.
And they know that they have a big investment in front of them if they choose to come in.
Yeah.
So they want to be successful, and we want them to be successful. But it's understanding that you have to know your march and your cadence and stay true to that, because that's what's going to carry the day.
Absolutely.
I've got a few more points.
Yeah,
if that's
please,
okay.
please do.
So the second point is to acknowledge that leadership really can come from anywhere in your organization. You might have the title. You might be viewed in your organization as the leader.
Right.
But if you acknowledge that leadership can come from anywhere, and you're open, and your mind is open to accepting that,
okay,
and you're fostering that to occur in your organization, then you're going to see new ideas coming, and you're going to see leadership come from unexpected places, and that's how you grow.
Yeah.
In your business model, but also in your success.
Yeah.
So that's one point. Just recognize that, and not just recognize, but foster that potential in your organization. Recognize that leadership can come from anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The other point, the next point is really encourage team collaboration wherever possible. Sometimes circumstances are such that you have to make a decision.
Yeah.
You just have to. Time, resources, whatever.
Right.
Obviously, you need to make those decisions. But when you can, foster collaboration with the team. Because when a team understands a challenge that the organization faces, and a team is working together towards a solution, there's a wonderful journey that occurs with that team. So you're building team, you're building collaboration and camaraderie, and at the end of the day, the team owns the problem. Yeah, they own the solution, and guess what? Yeah, they own the success at the end.
Yeah, and so
but it's the journey everyone gets to celebrate. Yeah, that's also really valuable for an organization.
The process.
Okay, so that's leadership.
Yeah,
foster that. And then the last point that I want to bring up is, as a leader, sometimes it's all too easy to be the first one to speak, to be the first one to put an idea out on the table. There might be times when that's necessary. But again, getting back to the team collaboration side of it, as a leader, remember that there's a real value in putting the question on the table and letting your team weigh in and just sitting back and listening to what's being said.
Yeah.
If a leader jumps out ahead of their team with their thoughts, oftentimes because of your position in the organization, oftentimes your idea stymies comments.
Okay.
Because nobody wants to, well, that's a great idea, boss, but I've got something better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It might be better.
Yeah.
Right. So let the team speak, let the team weigh in, see the value of that as a leader, build upon it, and get your course set. Wow. And when you can do that, it makes it a lot easier for you to lead.
Yeah. Those are all great. Wow, there's a lot of golden nuggets right there you just dropped when it comes to leadership and fostering that environment and allowing others to grow, bring their ideas. And so what I like about this, though, is that the way that you are drawing this picture, what I can see is bringing the leadership out of people, right? Those teammates that you have in your organization. And as the leader, it almost seems that you are helping them navigate, like steering the ship, if you will. Like, this is where we're going. I love these ideas. Let's gather. Let's take what's valuable, but this is where we're going. And ultimately, it speaks back to what we're talking about earlier, that strategic plan and where we want to go, the envisioning. Now, there's decisions that to be made, right? There's always decisions to be made, and then there's prioritization, and then there's limited resources in any organization, business, what have you. So when time, money, and the capacity, right? We only have so much capacity, physically, mentally. How do you decide what to prioritize?
That's a really good question. Obviously, you've got your strategic plan.
Right.
That helps in prioritizing. Your available resources also help you prioritize. But I think what really is important as a leader and as an organization is to know your why. The stand-up comedian Michael Jr. Does a wonderful job about talking about your why. And I would encourage anybody to just look up Michael Jr.
I know who he is.
Why. Know your why. And he's got a great segment on that.
Yeah.
Simon Sinek. Very popular motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Does a lot on leadership. He talks a lot about your why. Understand what your why is. Start there first, and then you can build out. The why is really important. Michael Jr., I think he puts it something like, if you know your why, then your actions become more purposeful. Okay, so understanding your why as an organization is really, really important. That's your destiny. That's what drives it. And then make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who also embrace that as their why.
Yeah.
This is really important because if your team doesn't accept the why, then they're just checking boxes. But if they completely drink the Kool-Aid, if their why is your why, and your why is their why, then they're going to move heaven and earth to accomplish this. Right. And there's lots of stories. Simon Sinek does great in his book about why, in sharing examples of real life examples of how that's critical to the success of any movement. Think about Martin Luther King, right? Any movement or any business strategy, you've got to be centered on your why. And once you know your why, then you're going to understand what your core services are, what you're really all about, and you'll be able to prioritize resources to move that forward.
Yes, to the best of the ability, right? So I'm really enjoying this conversation. You're bringing a lot of good points. And if you're listening to this, I really hope you're taking notes or pause this podcast and then, rewind it, listen to it because Shane is giving a lot of golden nuggets for small business owners, things that are really going to change how you manage your business, and especially if you have a team. And so this is not in the set of questions, but I do have a question. The why is huge.
Not fair, Alex.
That's not fair. It's like not a fair game. No. So the why it's important, but what would be your recommendation in getting your team to buy that, or not so much to buy it, but also adopt it as their why, right? I mean, someone may be very well spoken and know how to speak correctly to inspire people, but that can only go so far, right? So how do you in your world how do you get people to get that? Yeah, I'm jumping in. This is our why, and we're moving forward.
I guess getting back to the 20-mile march idea, oftentimes it's baby steps. Mm-hmm. You got to know your team. You got to know what drives them, and you build on common ground. How do I work with team member A? I know that team member A has these passions, these aspirations, these strengths, these weaknesses. How can I build on common ground with that, and so that they have a connection to the why?
Got it.
So emotionally,
yeah,
there's a connection with the why. You're golden.
Okay.
Right? If they're just connected because I'm the boss and I'm telling you to do this, that's just checking the box, and there's really no long-term commitment.
Yeah.
Leader can change, and all of a sudden that why is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So understanding the why is really, really important, and making sure that your team is drinking that Kool-Aid is really important. And sometimes team members have to change if they're not on board.
Right.
If they can't drink that Kool-Aid, you got to have the right people on the bus.
Yeah, yeah. I've had those conversations with a couple of Grown Sahuarita clients. It's like, hey, this is not working. Well, let's look at your team. And so it boiled down to, this team member is just not getting the vision of where you're going. So totally different. Yeah.
So it's I think that why can be shaped by feedback from team members.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So be open to that.
Yeah.
Understand really what the outcome is that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Really what your why is, and realize that there can be a lot of different ways to get to that outcome.
Yeah.
And that's where the team feedback and input comes. And the more you can incorporate that feedback into the process, the more buy-in your team has into the why.
That's awesome. I love that. Man, this has been a great session. We're running onto our top. I don't know how many minutes we've been in, but this has been a great conversation. It feels like 20 minutes.
I've got a few more minutes if you need.
You do? Awesome. Okay. So that's great. That's great to know. So if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice around leadership, planning, and growth, what would that be? We talked about intentionality. I think that's a great takeaway for listeners. We've talked about, obviously, there's self-leadership, there's leadership, fostering an atmosphere, right, where people are free to voice their opinion and their vision, and then getting, people to buy in, or like you said, drink the Kool-Aid. But how, if you were like, okay, one piece of advice to a small business owner, what would that be?
How about I just sum up a few points?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, please do.
That we've kind of covered in our conversation this morning. I'll get back to the know your why. Yeah. Okay. What is it that gets you out of bed every morning? Whether it's a good day or a bad day, you're still excited to get back to it. Yeah. What is that? And then make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded and also on board with that. Wow. With that why. Okay. Know where you'd like to be in in that why, know where you'd like to be 3 to 5 years out. Always have that as an organization. We've got a 5-year solid operational plan.
Yeah.
We've got a 5-year solid capital plan.
Yeah.
And in some cases, we're even looking 10 years out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You've got to have that kind of mentality, okay, as a leader in an organization. Take calculated steps. Be willing to take a little bit of risk, calculated risk.
Okay.
Again, 20 miles for Amundsen's team in really, really bad weather is a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's easy going when the sun's out and it's warm and it's
butterflies,
right? Well, not in the South Pole, but you're taking calculated risk, but take calculated risk. Don't overextend yourself. Don't be the Scott team.
Yep.
Right. Be the Amundsen team. Take calculated risks, though.
Yeah.
Remember that there's rarely a straight line between where you're at now and where your personal or business destination ultimately is. In other words, life's going to throw curveballs at you.
Yep, absolutely.
There's always going to be unexpected things that happen. Find the silver lining in those curveballs.
Okay.
Find the opportunities for growth. Don't let it knock you out of the game. Understand that oftentimes these things happen, and it's actually a way to propel yourself even further towards your why. It just might be a different angle or a different approach. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't be so quickly defeated.
Yeah.
Just understand that it's life. Life's going to throw curveballs at you. As long as you got your eye on the mark, you're pulling yourself out of the forest to, so you can see the tree line, you can see your course. Those unexpecteds are going to happen.
Resiliency, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just stick with it.
Yeah.
And find the silver lining. Okay. It's not this way. I mean, how many times did Edison try to create the light bulb?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe, his viewpoint was, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I learned 1,000 ways not to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really that kind of mentality. And then the last point is never be satisfied with status quo. Okay, that's where complacency comes into place. That's where you get comfortable. I mean, I imagine the conversation wouldn't go very well if I went home to my wife and I said, "Hey, honey, today this is the best it's ever going to get. What you see right here, this is it. This is the best it's ever going to get."
Yeah.
That's just probably not going to fly very well. My wife expects in me that I'm constantly going to try to improve myself, learn more, be better, learn from mistakes, make different decisions in the future to be a better me.
Yeah.
Organizations are the same way. You don't want to get, I often think that we're on a river. And if you stop rowing, it's not that you're staying put. The current's going to take you the wrong way.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So you always need to be paddling. You always need to be moving forward. Never be satisfied with status quo.
Wow, that's good. That's a good one. Thank you so much, Shane. Man, once again, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure being here.
You've shared a lot. Again, if you're listening, I will personally listen to this again, quite frankly. And I'm not saying this because, you are, our boss, right, quote unquote, but definitely the leader of this organization. But you're bringing a lot of pointers that in all honesty, small business really should apply. Not only the stories, but the example you just gave earlier of your relationship with wife, even though that's very precious and sacred. For small business owners, obviously we're not going to have the same relationship with the customers, but being open to receiving that feedback and taking that as data point, right? Instead of taking it personally, perhaps maybe it's a bad review, and then just taking that as a data point and say, okay, how can I improve that? And the other point you made too is just life happens, it's just resiliency. And so all that takes leadership. And And once people start in your organization start seeing that you have that resiliency, that you're willing to move on, that you're still, grounded on your why, then trust me, whether it's your team is made out of family members or you have employees or you're thinking about hiring your first employees, it's really going to foster that atmosphere of a well-rounded and grounded organization or small business, and that it's moving forward. And so thank you so much, Shane, for your perspective and the takeaway. So once again, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, you know what, Alex, I need some guidance. I want to connect with the Grown Sahuarita program. Just know that we're here for you. This is a no-cost program for small business owners in Sahuarita and in the surrounding area. So please reach us out at any time at grow@sahuaritaaz.gov. Again, that is the email, grow@sahuaritaaz.gov. Shane, once again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For being here. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you guys next time.